Welcome to the program today. Ron Yakabuchi talking about the Mass Hire Career Centers and how they're being impacted by the migrant crisis and other issues. So, Ron, first of all, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Joe.
Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about this. It's one aspect of this whole issue that has not been talked about a lot
Mhm.
is how the state is helping these folks that are coming to Massachusetts find employment, right? And you're in that loop.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, right here in Quincy, we have a welcome center at Eastern Nazarene. But it's those folks are kind of coming and going. So it's not something where we can plug in and try to be working with folks relative to the English barrier, speaking barrier, or just relative to work authorization and trying to get them jobs. But we do have four shelters that are located in our region. That goes from Quincy down to Plymouth. And two of them that we're actively working in right now, one is in Kingston and the other is in Rockland. There's also one in Plymouth. And we're talking about probably almost 400 people that we're dealing with. And the biggest problem that we have is the English as a second language. And we've been struggling with that for a couple of months now to try to get the funding. We finally have started to make some progress to put that in place because that's one barrier we could try to, overcome as they're getting ready to try to get their work authorization. My funding is limited. It's based on eligibility. So I can't really spend any money on people that aren't eligible. And these people, unfortunately, aren't eligible. But there are a lot that are, and we've been doing a lot of classes with them over the last several weeks, especially. And we've actually put some people in jobs, which is great. So we've actually hired an interpreter that goes with a team of folks down to these different shelters on a weekly basis, working with these folks. So it's been a tough situation, and I guess you kind of separate what we're trying to do with just the whole idea of the sheltering, which has become a controversial issue out there. We spent almost $1 billion last fiscal year. We're going to spend almost $1 billion next fiscal year, just sheltering folks. But we need to really have a path forward for people. And I think we're trying to do that in a limited way, given the resources that we have, to teach folks how to speak English and also to try to get them to work. There is still, a little bit of a shortage in our region. Employers are still looking for good people. So we hope to be able to transition. I mean, immigration is what built this country, right? So, you've got to respect that. And, my dad came over as an immigrant from Italy, and he learned to trade and raised a family and did really well. These people, deserve it. But just generally to comment on the way the whole thing has been handled, it probably has been mishandled. I can go back to the day when Mike Dukakis was governor and Tom O'Neill was lieutenant governor, and we were winding down the Vietnamese situation, the Vietnam War. There were a lot of refugees that came over, and I was tasked to be the Vietnamese resettlement coordinator for the Commonwealth, believe it or not, in another life, Joe. And we did it all differently. We set up resettlement camps around the country at some of the military bases. We were able to transition people appropriately into the community because they had a sponsor, they had a job, they had housing. The way it's being done right now, these people are just showing up and we're sheltering them. And there's no, real effort to kind of organize and coordinate it the way we used to do it very effectively. In fact, I remember, one of the employees that works for me in the career center is from Vietnam. He remembers when he was a kid and I was greeting him as he was coming off the plane at Logan Airport. So we're not doing it the right way, and we're really doing an injustice to the people that are here as well as the people that are trying to come here. And that's just my observation of how this thing is sort of rolled out. But to our end, we're doing the best that we can with folks on the two things that are the biggest problem. Uh, English is a second language, and also just the fact that they don't have their work authorization. So we'll just keep plugging away at it. So that's one thing. But we're still dealing with the whole picture of things, and unemployment has ticked up a little bit. Job openings have ticked down just a little bit. So I don't know if that's going to change the interest rates when the Fed meets again. I know everybody's hopeful, but you know there is that soft landing that everybody's hoping for, but you know as a result of unemployment coming down from those extremely high levels during COVID. We've got 3% unemployment, and that means my allocation comes down. So I have to absorb a 20% cut in my allocation this fiscal year coming up, which means I've had to lay off someone and I had to not fill some positions, and some people that might be retiring, I won't be able to fill those positions just to be able to maintain, the activity that we have. But we're still doing it. I mean, we're at 1515 Hancock Street. We've got a good team of people that are there every day. We're also working to try to help people with their unemployment problem. I mean, our job is to help people get back to work. But in doing that, there are a lot of folks that obviously have issues with their unemployment. And to that end, we put something together. It was kind of an interesting story right here about DUA, the Department of Unemployment Assistance, and the need for in-person services. So we have been fighting for a long time to provide in-person services throughout the Commonwealth, because we have a lot of people that struggle with their unemployment claims. They can't get through on the phone. They can't identify themselves. They don't have access to a computer. A lot of people have been hurt. A lot of fraud that I feel could be all these problems could be very well remedied by just having in-person services. So when we did a little research, we found out that there was a law already on the books that said they were supposed to be providing in-person services.
Ah,
They weren't. Okay.
now was that
This has
suspended
nothing to
because
do
of the
with
pandemic? Is that what happened?
exactly. And this
Yeah.
has nothing to do with the current administration. They've inherited this problem, right? But we filed legislation. Bruce Ayers filed it in the House as part of the budget. It didn't make it through the House, but then we picked up the torch in the Senate, and Senator O'Connor from Weymouth was very helpful with that. Senator Jalen, who chairs the Workforce Committee in the Senate, and we got it on the Senate side. And then it went through conference, and it came out of conference. And in that process, we work with the Healey administration, the governor's people. We work with the Secretary of Labor. We work with the various agencies, and we crafted some language that could work for everybody. So it was a team effort in the end to try to resolve a problem, that it was inherited by the administration, the Healey administration, and really there's a need for that. And I know it's going to be a tremendous difference if we could provide those in-person services. It's going to cut down on the fraud. It's going to help people facilitate better. And it's going to take a lot of the pressure off of my staff, which are there trying to do the best they can, but they can't solve all the problems because they're not the unemployment office. Okay?
Right. Well, they're running into the same problem. They can't see
Yeah.
people in person
And-
either, right? So why did we need new legislation if there was already a law in the books? Why
Well,
couldn't
because the law on the books really doesn't work in terms of the resources. It mandated that the DUA, the Department of Unemployment Assistance, had to provide an office in every region. Okay, it identified the regions, but it pretty much covered the entire Commonwealth. They don't have the resources to do that. That was part of the problem that they expressed. So what we did, we made it easy. So let's just provide in-person services, and you could just partner with the career centers. We exist. We'll give you space. You can come into our office, not a problem.
Okay.
So I think that's basically the way the legislation reads now.
So what did they do
it's something
before the
that's
pandemic?
more workable, and it's not like they have to hire more people. They could just outstation folks that are already serving this population, maybe on the phone now, if people can get through. But now you could, it's just good customer service, right?
Mhm.
It's just good customer service, and people should be out there being able to take advantage of that. And I think, it's something now that we have to work toward implementing, because that's the next step, right? You could pass a law and then you got to make it work. And I'm hopeful that we can work with all of the people that I mentioned to make this happen as soon as possible, because,
Okay.
we're just trying to solve a problem. And I don't see unemployment getting any better. In fact, that uptick, and it might even continue to head in that wrong direction. So we need to be prepared for that. And I think we want to try to make sure we can make this work and better serve our customers. So
Yeah.
a good
So
thing.
what happened before the pandemic, Ron? Was there in-person service at all before?
No, it was all done. I advocated for that. I mean, you know, we had those emergency hospitals set up. We had those emergency vaccination centers set up.
Yeah,
We were really good about doing all that stuff. Well, where was the unemployment offices that could have been set up temporarily around the
yeah.
Commonwealth to help facilitate the claims? We had a lot of people that we dealt with back then, and it was all hands on deck. And it was a disaster. I mean, I know a lot of people personally whose claims were filed on their behalf that never filed a claim. I know a lot of people who struggled with trying to get the claim in place because of the identification process, and
Mm.
a lot of people that didn't have access to computers and didn't have access to you know, couldn't get on the phone. And it was a real, I mean, it was overwhelming, and clearly, you know, I mean, it's not an easy thing. And I know the DUA has come under a lot of criticism relative to their customer service. I really feel sincerely that the people that are working there are doing the best they can.
Hmm.
But I think if you ask them or you ask anybody, we know we could do better. And hopefully what we've accomplished with this in-person services now is we're doing better. And
Yeah,
we
as
can,
long as the funds went along with the
yeah,
law, right? Yeah,
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll look forward to that. I mean, it's not the Career Center's job, right? I mean, you
No,
were trying to do somebody else's job just to help people.
yeah, yeah. I mean, basically our mission is to help people get back to work. And you know, we have a process that we put people through. There's opportunities for training if it makes sense for someone. And so yeah, so that's our focus, and
Mhm.
that's what we need to be.
Yeah,
And obviously we have a big challenge with the whole migrant situation now too, because you've got
yes.
hundreds of people that are in our area alone that we're looking to try to put back to work or
Yeah,
get
what's the primary language they're speaking when they come here, Ron?
Haitian Creole.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And you know, it's just it's tough because you know, we're trying to put them back to work. And these people, you know, there's more things than just a job. I mean, there's housing
Mm.
involved, there's daycare involved, there's transportation involved,
Yeah,
there's all these other things that have to add up too. So we could get somebody maybe back to work, but then they have no place to live.
well, yeah, as I
They,
understand it, it's primarily young women with little children, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So
So
that's, I mean, they've got a full-time job already trying to
they
take
have a
care of their
full,
family. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, we saw them show up, unfortunately, at the Wallaston T station, not too long ago, because they
Yeah,
had no place else to go.
yeah. It's tough because, you know, you've got these permanent shelters, these shelters that have been set up, and they're at capacity, right? They're
Mhm.
at capacity. And then people still keep coming. So now we set up these temporary shelters to get them out of the airport or the bus station or the train station. And even they're at capacity. I mean, you know, my own church has been asked to take 50 to 60 migrants every day.
Well,
So they have this temporary shelter now, not the permanent shelters
yeah,
like we have four in our region. These temporary shelters that obviously too have become a little controversial. So you've got these temporary shelters. They're there to stay at night, so they're not on the street. But in the daytime, they're going to kick them out, right? So where do they go? Well, our church was taking 50 or 60 of these people for the day.
really.
They bust them in, they hang around, they bust them out. I mean, what else are we doing, really? This is
Mhm.
what I go back to, like with the Vietnamese thing. We don't have a really good system or process for moving these people into our
Right,
community.
but that was a federal system, right,
Now,
back then?
yes, and
Yeah,
that's you know, the burden is all local, the burden is all state. They're all doing the best they can to manage it and open ourselves to helping these people. But the real burden is with the federal government. I mean, you know, they need they really that's where the leadership needs to come. And I know that they've been trying, but it becomes a political issue, and
yeah,
you know, the whole thing is just a big mess, and it's
right. And
unfortunate.
these poor people get caught in the middle.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah. But the problem we have, like in these 40 or 50, 60 people that come to the church every day, they're different people. So
yes.
I could send a team over there to try to help them with English or try to maybe get the, but now the next day they're not there. So I
No,
mean,
it's yeah, no,
it's
I couldn't learn, French in a day.
yeah. So I mean, it's almost like it's just a very difficult situation to be trying to do something in. But like I said, you know, we have people that work at the Career Center. They're very passionate. They want to help people. I think, you know, everybody has a good heart when it comes to that, but the way it's working, it just makes it more challenging, more difficult, and more controversial. I mean, there's some people that are very angry, and you know, I mean, it's not an easy thing. So,
Right.
but we're dealing with it. We're doing the best we can.
Yeah. In terms of the employment situation here in our area, what types of jobs would these folks, be eligible for?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is in the area of healthcare, I
Oh, okay.
think. A lot, I mean, there's so many other, look, we don't want to just put them in a job where they're making a minimum wage. I mean, they can go work at a McDonald's or they can go work at a burger, and that's not going to solve their problem, right?
Mhm.
So we really need, and a lot of them, unfortunately, right now are working illegally in some of these jobs. Landscapers have hit a gold mine. I mean, so, but that's, look, it's not going to be a good thing if that's the solution. If my folks are just putting them into these types of positions, we really need, and some of these people are very well qualified. I mean, they're very well educated. They're very well credentialed. Unfortunately, some of those credentials don't work in this country.
Right.
So you have that problem, but it's there's a lot of opportunities there, and we're looking at trying to put we've got a couple of cohorts working right now on English as a second language in all of these centers, these shelters that I described, and we're also trying to put a cohort together for manufacturing, and then there's definitely a tremendous need at healthcare at the entry level for some of these folks. If we
Okay.
could just, the employers are stuck because some of the authorizations are only temporary.
Yep.
So if you're an employer and you want to hire somebody, and then all of a sudden in a couple of months, they're going to be gone.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, again, that's another, disconnect, dysfunction. And then of course, a lot of these folks all these folks don't speak English. That's another problem. So you've got employers that are willing to step up, but they have real concerns relative to their ability to speak English and also their ability to stay in the position for an extended time.
Yeah, it's
And
costly for them, if keep turning over. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
So
It's a conundrum for sure.
it is for sure. Yeah, it is for sure. And we're kind of, right in the middle of it. And not just in my region, but in all the regions around the Commonwealth. Everybody's struggling with it right now.
Yeah, I guess we should explain a little bit about what Mass Hire is and what the career centers are.
Yeah, sure. For those of you who don't know, it's a federally funded. I oversee on behalf of the mayor the Mass Hire system in the South Shore. So we cover from 22 communities from Quincy all the way down to Plymouth. And because of some of the cuts we received, we were hoping to extend another satellite down to that area or a mobile center, but we had to cut back on that because our funding was cut in half. So some of those initiatives we wanted to do, we can't do. So we're really based in Quincy right now. We have to maintain at least one fully functioning career center, which we have. But our youth team and our business team, they're all over. I mean, the district. It's not, not everybody has to come into Quincy to get services or programs. We do a lot of stuff remote, virtually. So we can conduct workshops and that sort of thing, just like you and I are talking right now. I mean, they don't have to physically come into the career center. So we can be flexible with that and try to accommodate as many people as we possibly can without having them to have to physically come in. Although we are there every day. We do provide unemployment assistance. Again, it's limited.
Mhm.
We do that on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday every week between 8:30 and noon. So if someone does have an issue, we do have one or two staff people that are willing to help them navigate as best we can. We can't solve all their problems. And one of the great things that all the legislators loved, because they were getting the phone calls. They were like almost another extension of the unemployment office. So they were all happy to pass this legislation because they've been overwhelmed with calls from their constituents that have problems with unemployment.
Yeah.
And then they, obviously they have a hotline into the DUA and they try to resolve things within a reasonable period of time, but it's overwhelming, and they were sick of it too. So we provide that. We have a great business team. We have a great youth team. We reach out into the community. We're doing the summer youth program again for folks income eligible for kids, give them their first opportunity at a job. I mean, there's just so many things. I mean, if people really want to get into it, they can get on our website and explore some of the opportunities that are out there. They can call our number at 617-745-4000 and get connected appropriately. And so I would definitely, encourage folks that are listening that might have an unemployment issue. We'll do the best we can to help, that might be looking to get back to work or get a better job. That's what the Career Center is there for. And we're there at 1515 Hancock Street, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30 every day.
All right. Good to talk to you, Ron. Appreciate the update. And if anything changes, let us know. We'll get you back on here.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Thanks for watching us here at AM Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano. We'll see you next time.